Dash, and I'm Kevin, and we're live here at Coe Riverside Farm. We're about to feed him some lunch. Hope everybody's having a great day. I don't think I've ever had a bad hair day until now, but it's looking rough. So Dash here is a two-fingered Linnaeus sloth, and he is super cute. Let's see if I can get this a little bit closer for y'all here in just a second. I'll actually put it right here on my leg, and I bet he will come out here and try to eat it. So Dash is only about 6 or 7 months old. We actually have 3 sloths here at Coe Riverside Farm. Dash is the youngest, and then we have Zoe. Her birthday was December 16th. And then we also have Flash. Flash is about 7 years old. If you guys have ever wanted to come feed a sloth or hold a sloth or learn about a sloth, you can do that here at Coe Riverside Farm. We're located in Benton, Tennessee, halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. It's paradise, guys. We're located right on the Coe River. We have covered wagons that you can stay in. They're heated and cooled. Oh, Dash is eating fast this morning. So we're feeding Dash a little mixture of squash, zucchini, what else is cut up in there? A little sweet potato. He loves it. Look at him going down. Here, I'll zoom in for y'all. Look at that sweet little guy. So we're located in Benton, Tennessee, halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. We have over 150 animals, and we are open to the public. There you go, buddy. Look how good he's eating. He's all kinds of excited. We just got some Scottish Highland cows too, and they are so sweet. You can come bottle feed them here at Coe Riverside Farm. We're located in Benton, Tennessee, halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. We have horse rides here.
Hey y'all.
And we actually have
hand sanitizer right there. We'll be ready to go.
pretty cool, right guys? Give me just a second.
Right here. And there might be an armadillo running around with a fluid here out there. So if you see a little animal scurry by, it's not a rat.
You want that chair?
Oh no, I got 2 wood ones
Okay,
out here. Sounds good.
I'm gonna bring this out and set it up.
Alright.
going, guys? You guys okay with being on video?
Yep, sure.
Okay.
So, if you were taking one guess while you're here, what would it be?
My guess is a sloth.
Sloth, what would make you think that?
In Tennessee.
There is one on the wall.
There is one on the wall? That's not the point. Well, let's see what we got for you today.
I bet it's a snake.
You guys have a lot of animals.
Yeah,
That would be okay with a snake.
it could be. I mean, it could be.
Or this little armadillo that's crawling around.
His name is Baku. And he is the coolest thing ever. Sorry about the crazy hair day. I never thought I'd have a bad hair day, but I grew my hair out to prove to my daughter that I had curly hair, and I've now discovered why.
Humanity.
Yeah.
You good?
Yep.
So it's not just a sloth, it's a baby sloth. So if you'd like to hold him, you slide your hand in between him and me, just like my hand is. There you go. And you can either hold him in your lap or he can climb up around your neck or whatever way you're comfortable holding that guy. He's pretty much good with anything, people-wise.
What's his
Maybe
name?
not hovering him out in midair, but you know, a little closer in. His name is Dash. So Dash is a two-toed Linnaeus sloth. All of our sloths here are two-toed Linnaeus sloths. And this guy is 6 months old. He weighs about 3 pounds right now. He is a male. And he is many generations captive bred. This guy generationally is further from the rainforest than I am from the American Revolution by far. What's Riverview?
Oh, it's an animal hospital. I'm a veterinarian.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great. So the guy who raises these ambassador animal sloths for us is also a doctor of veterinary medicine who's been doing sloths for about 30 years. And his methodology on it is his mother animals are all clicker trained. So click, 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 gonna take the baby, but it'll be right back. And therefore it doesn't stress the mothers, and therefore it doesn't stress the babies.
Sure.
So the babies come here 100% people oriented. And they actively seek human attention. Their very favorite thing in the world is to be held by people. But all because sloths are easily stressed animals, we limit it to a total of 2 hours of encounters per day, and only 2 people in an encounter. And we only pass it from person to person once during an encounter. So, I mean, from me to you, and only from one guest to the next guest. We only pass it around once. So we feel like that is the least stress on the animals. And none of them have ever shown any signs of being stressed, but we love our animals more than we love money. So that's the way we roll.
Good philosophy. Where do you get a sloth? Where did you get a sloth?
I can't tell you because the guy who raises our sloths hates when his phone rings.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you don't have a zoo license, he won't sell it to you. But if you are licensed as a zoo, I'm happy to tell you.
Sure.
But we're live on things all the time. And right now we don't have very many people on, but our 10 o'clock in the morning slot sometimes has as many as 300,000 people on live.
Wow.
And he does not want his phone to ring.
Understand.
Because he won't sell a sloth to a private individual without a zoo license anyway. And I always give a disclaimer on every video I ever do to say, please don't look at what we're doing here and think it's a good idea to buy a sloth. It's a
Right.
horrible idea.
Yeah.
Because I am personally familiar with every breeder of sloths in the country, and there are exactly none that will sell a sloth to a private individual without a
As it should
license. And so there are many sloths for sale on the internet. And even though they will tell you they're captive bred, those are all wild caught animals. And it will not look anything like this. Difference between a house cat and a feral cat.
Right.
He likes zippers and he likes slippery, shiny things. So, yeah, you've hit all of his hideouts there.
I'm glad to accommodate.
Are you in Cleveland?
No, we're closer to Harrison.
Harrison, okay. I don't know where Riverview is.
Oh, that's downtown. Yeah, downtown Chattanooga.
Oh, okay, alright. I don't get down to chat much. Our vet here is John Higdon, and Higdon Large Animal Services, and then his he works closely with UT.
Okay, yeah.
So his interns all come from UT, well, most of them do, because they can come here, and of course, as a vet, you know how hard it is to get experience with exotics if you're not already a DVM.
Yes.
So if he brings an intern here, they're allowed to do whatever he says they're allowed to do. So getting an internship with him is a pretty big ticket item. So we have kind of a symbiosis. He doesn't charge me trip charges or procedure fees, just a straight hourly rate. But because he gets to bring interns here, he gets the best and brightest. And
That's awesome.
he will have a whole lot of
Sounds like a
applications
gig.
to be his intern.
Sounds like a good gig.
It is. So this one, you know, a little more specific since she's a vet and knows a lot about animals. This one we're working hard to desensitize to various types of touch.
Okay.
So our first sloth, he lives in the 25-foot tall enclosure right there, came to us 2 years old from a breeder who just supplies zoos for static displays. So he was not people oriented from birth, and so to date I have never held that sloth. I am absolutely his person. I've been with him for at least an hour a day for 4 years, and he gets down and digs his hands all in my hair and gets face to face and rubs up against me and stuff like that. But he's never made any move to move onto my body. So, you know, it's up to him. We interact with our animals the way that they're comfortable with, not necessarily what I want them to do. And then our first one that came as an ambassador animal is Zoe. She's 14 months, and she likes to be petted, she loves to be held, she likes to be snuggled, but she hates to be touched on the belly side, and she hates to mess with her hands. So this one, I started younger, desensitizing him to various types of touch. Just, I'll be sitting watching TV with him, and I'll do his ears like this while we're sitting there, and he'll just go to sleep. I'll sit and stroke his feet like this, which I never did with the other one. And so he's a lot more handable on various types of touch. The other one totally likes people, loves to be held and snuggled, but only likes to be petted on the backside and only, you know, speed of a sloth.
Right.
This guy is more anything goes. So the sloths, I mentioned the mothers and the clicker training and such, and so they're being held from day 14 because it takes them the first 2 weeks to get their bacteria colony right. And then from day 14 they're being held, you know, 30 seconds and 45 seconds, then a minute, so on and so forth, until by the time their mother weans them of her own volition, they're being held 30, 45 minutes at a time, several times a day. And but when you buy a sloth from this guy, it's bought and paid for, and you have no idea when it will come. Just when the mother weans it, that's when it's good to go.
Sure.
And so we get animals that have all the social nutritional benefit of being a mother-raised animal, but all the social benefit of being a people-raised animal at the same time. So it really is just an awesome thing he's got going there. And then of course his other thought, he has a very large population of sloths. His other thought is, you know, had there not been captive rhinos, there would be no rhinos on Earth anymore.
Yeah.
And while sloths would still be listed as of least concern, which is the same thing they would say about white-tailed deer, of least concern, their numbers are dropping precipitously.
Is that just because of deforestation, or is
Deforestation and the illegal pet trade. And so if you live in a country where the average salary per year is less than what people will pay for one sloth that you snatched out of the rainforest, you know.
makes sense?
Yeah, and if a cruise ship pulls in and you can grab a sloth out of the rainforest, dip it in a bucket of bleach and use it for one day and then it's gonna die. But you can get 1 in 20 people walking down the pier to stop and give you $20 to pet the sloth. You just made your annual salary in a day.
Sure.
So that's why the government of Costa Rica is working so hard to say it's always, always, always harmful to pet a sloth. And regarding wild sloths, I completely agree with everything they say.
Yeah.
But these are not wild sloths.
Right.
But of course they say that about captive too, because so many people will buy a sloth thinking that they're buying a captive bred sloth. The fact is they're not, but you know, as a gee, I saw a sloth and it looked cool, why don't I buy one sort of a person, they're not gonna do enough research to know. And they give you a 1 week health guarantee, but what the sloth is gonna die of is stress and starvation. but it'll take it a month or two to die.
Sure.
But these guys, so these are, I don't know, do you know a lot about sloths? Alright, so these are two-toed Linnaeus sloths. They're starting to call them two-fingered, three-fingered instead of two-toed, three-toed, because they all have three on the back feet. Two-toed have two on the front, three-toed have three on the front. The two-fingered and three-fingered spines are set up differently. A three-fingered has 9 vertebrae in their cervical spine and 3 vertebrae of a tail. The two-fingered has no tail, and he has 5 in the cervical spine. So the 4 missing from the cervical spine and the 3 missing from the tail are all between the hips and shoulders of a two-fingered. So the three-fingered will turn its head 270 around like an owl, and the two-fingered, these are the shoulders and these are the hips, they'll turn like this, so that their hips and shoulders can be basically 180 out. So the two-fingered moves more like a slinky, and the three-fingered moves more like an owl. And the two-fingered is marginally bigger and quicker than a three-fingered sloth. But to describe a two-fingered sloth as quicker than anything, you could only be talking about a three-fingered sloth, because collectively they are the world's slowest mammals. Now here, we see them move a whole lot quicker than what you read online says that they can, but I suppose they may be talking about speed over distance when they say 12 feet per minute, because like the big guy's room right here, it goes all the way up there, and he'll come from the very top down out to the edge of the bar, ready for his encounter. That takes him about 30 seconds. So that would be more like 40 feet per minute, but you know, that's not over any significant distance, I mean.
Just zooming.
Yeah, but so sloths obviously are slow, but sloths are slow in ways that the casual individual doesn't think that an animal could be slow. So it starts from their diet. They're eating almost exclusively leaves. Leaves are mainly cellulose, very little nutritional value in a leaf. So they eat a tremendous amount of food, but get very little nourishment from it. Because they get so little nourishment, their energy budget is extraordinarily low. So, for instance, although it is a warm-blooded animal, it cannot maintain its body temperature. So daytime high in the rainforest, mid or upper 80s, nighttime low, high 60s, and their core body temperature will follow that range of temperatures every day. So their nighttime core body temperature can be 19 degrees Fahrenheit less than their daytime core body temperature. So obviously, if my core body temperature was 19 degrees low, the coroner would be using that to calculate my time of death. But that's the way a sloth is regularly. The sloths, because their energy budget is so low, they cannot make and store milk for their babies. So they produce it drop by drop as the baby's eating the milk. And the mother sloth can only make milk for approximately 3 to 6 weeks. The baby starts eating solid food on day 4. The mother is only capable of making milk for 3 to 6 weeks. San Diego Zoo's knowledge base thing that has a pretty good amount of good information on it says that it is gender dependent, that a male baby sloth will drink milk for 15 days and a female for 27. So I don't have any way to know if that's true or not, but San Diego Zoo's knowledge base is usually pretty good. I think that their information is more reliable than most things that you could read about rare animals. So they eat a tremendous amount of food, but they go to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month. So when they're in the tops of the trees, they're entirely safe from predators with the exception of eagles, because they're very light. They can go way out there to the end of the branch. The big old cat stomp, stomp, stomp out there to it, to the point that the branch breaks and they both fall 80 or 100 feet to the rainforest floor. The sloth will almost certainly survive, and the cat will almost certainly die. And the sloth will just look over and say,
Told you.
ha, ha, and back up the tree he'll go. Part of that is that a sloth has 46 ribs, 23 sets of ribs, so they go, they cover all of their organs. And then not only that, but they have connective tissue that goes all through their body cavity, holding all their organs where they need to be. So for us, our guts are sitting in our pelvis, upper bounded by our diaphragm, and they're just kind of sloshing in there. Which is why, if you got on an inversion table for a long time, eventually it would get hard to breathe, back pressure on your diaphragm. A sloth could be hanging vertically upside down, horizontally upside down, right side up, inside out and backwards, in a ball, stretched out, whatever, for hours at a time. So that's why the connective tissue is there to hold all their stuff where their stuff needs to be. The sloths only go to the bathroom 3 or 4 times per month, and when they do go to the bathroom, they come from the top of the tree all the way down, same tree, same side of the tree, poop in the exact same spot that they always do. And you're welcome to move that guy around, pet him, whatever. So he is not asleep. Their vision is horrible, so they'll lightly close their eyes and they'll be focusing in on listening and smelling.
Okay.
So he's not asleep, you're not waking him. This is his wakeful time of day, so you don't have to worry about bothering the sloth. So when they're in the tops of the trees, they're safe, and yet they come all the way down to the ground to go to the bathroom. So obviously that begs the question, why? So they went through the dumb ideas of they're just a neat animal, no. And they're fertilizing their own tree, no sense. If it fell from anywhere in the tree, it'll land on top of the root system. So that's a no. So the actual reason is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So of course you're aware that symbiotic means beneficial to both sides, parasitic, neutral, beneficial to one side, neutral or harmful to the other. So there is a type of moth in the world called a sloth moth, and the sloth moth lives nowhere on earth except in the fur and in the waste pile of a sloth. When the sloth comes down the tree, the moths all fly down off of the sloth into the waste pile and lay their eggs. From there it's row, row, row your boat on a 7 to 10 day cycle. So this week's eggs are next week's larvae or the following week's moths. So every week when he comes down the tree, there's more moths to go up onto the sloth. In the wild, he'll have between 100 and 150 moths living in his fur at all times. Not here, praise the Lord. So the only reason its life is to drink water that pools up in the branches, up in the canopy, and to get into the waste pile to lay their eggs. The benefit to the sloth is that the sloth digests its food by a bacterial process, not by an enzymatic process so much the way that we do. So we also have helpful gut bacteria. Our gut bacteria will last throughout our lives unless we take a long course of antibiotics. If we take a lot of antibiotics, we need probiotics or a good Greek yogurt to fix ourselves back up. The sloth, his bacteria colony lasts unless he gets cold. Cold weather kills the sloth's bacteria colony, and they do get pretty cold every night. So they're continually replenishing their bacteria colony via the moths. So as the sloth grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the moths themselves. That's a small protein source, also related to peptids and leptids. And and he licks up a certain amount of the waste of the moths, and that is where he gets his bacteria colony from, or how he replenishes his bacteria colony.
So without the moths, it would be...
Without the moths, he would die in the rainforest.
Wow.
In captivity, however, what kills our gut bacteria is antibiotics. What kills theirs is cold temperature. If you have a captive sloth, you never, 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 never let the sloth get cold, and its bacteria colony will last throughout its life. Now, as a veterinarian, you may know about fecal fauna transportation. So if your sloth's bacteria colony goes awry, that is how you fix it in captivity, is fecal fauna transportation. But hopefully we don't have to deal with that. But so yeah, the main thing to keeping them captive is 80 degrees and 50% relative humidity all of the time.
Feels like that in here.
That's exactly the way it is in here.
If you want to
Actually,
take
right
off
now
your
it's
jacket, you
78.
can. Okay.
Yeah, that's why we have the hooks there, and
We're
I've
gonna
got them all.
come to rain. So what if you do have to give them antibiotics?
So the guy who raises them is a vet. So all of our different breeds of animals here, if our vet John Higdon isn't completely familiar with them, first for the sloth he calls the sloth vet. For the camel he calls the camel vet. For the coda he calls the coda vet. And for general purposes, he calls up to UT. And if UT doesn't have somebody that ultimately knows the question, we have a network of vets who are experts in every animal here, and we have phone numbers for all of them. There's not many that I pay an annual fee to, but we have a pretty close relationship with the sloth vet because that's a pretty unique thing.
Yeah.
But we can get a vet that's a specialist in any animal here on the hotline, PDQ. And we do know generally what different medicines that various species of animals need. So we have medicines on hand that you wouldn't find most places. And there is a formulary pharmacy in Cleveland where if we need something made, we generally can get it from the formulary pharmacy. Just because, you know, it's readily available, even if they have if they have the right type of medicine, the mix per kg isn't necessarily gonna work out.
That formulary was actually watching us one day, and that's why I sent you that message, because they were like, if you're ever and can't find it, message us, and I'll make sure that we can get it.
Yeah, you sent me that thing. Is that the one right across from Tenova?
I think so.
I've been to that one before.
Yeah. She was like, if we ever can't answer, message me here. She goes, I'll get it for you.
Yeah. Did you want to turn holding, or are you just the sloth enabler?
I'm just an enabler.
Okay.
I mean, I'll hold them if you're done.
Yeah, you're welcome to. So what you want to do is put your hand in between her and him, and get your hand under his little booty right there, and he'll just slide across. And their relaxed state is with their fingers clamped down, so you got to give him a minute to open his hands up. When he realizes he's moving, peel him away like that. So that is why a sloth can hang indefinitely, is because their relaxed state is clamped down. So for us, our exertion state is this, and our relaxed state is that. For the sloth, their relaxed state is here, and their exertion state is here. So it is so true that they're expending no energy to hang in the branches, that if the sloth dies, he won't necessarily fall. They can continue to hang there dead for days or weeks until something rotted or something knocked them out of the tree.
Well,
How did you sneeze?
She sneezed.
do they have many teeth?
Their teeth are huge. So rodents, their two buck teeth are what grow throughout their life, and they wear them down on external sources. For sloths, their fang teeth are what grow. They don't have canines, I just call them fangs. But their fang teeth grow throughout their life. They have no enamel on their fangs. And so they grow throughout their life and sharpen continuously. So when they open and close their mouth, their teeth are sharpening against their own teeth by wearing off the enamel layer. And he's a baby, his teeth are quite small. The adult, his teeth are like this big. If you were a scientist who dug up a skeleton of a sloth and you had never seen a sloth, you would almost certainly come up with an apex predator notion of what this animal might be, because their teeth are huge, their claws are huge. He's a baby, so his are quite small. But if you see the adult, his claws are about that long. And the last bone of their finger is inside of their claw. And their arms are longer than their body, and their legs are longer than their arms. So you would almost certainly come up with a drawing of something like a howler monkey that's flying around the trees and just killing and eating everything. You would almost certainly not come up with a drawing of a slow, peaceful animal who's going to hide in the trees his whole life until eventually he's caught by a predator.
They kill and eat all the leaves.
I need to download a picture of a sloth skeleton, so I'm not always searching it.
I've been trying to look for a 3D replication model, that way we could really show the spine, but all I can find is the skull. shows up great against that red jacket.
Yeah, I bet.
Just love how he sucks his eyeballs back into his skull and blinks.
A lot of times it looks like he's winking at you, you know, because he'll do like one eye and then the other one.
Yeah, he was sticking out pretty far. Do they have decent eyesight?
Terrible.
Terrible eyesight.
Their eyes have a structure called rod monochromacy, so they have only chromatic vision. They don't see in color at all. They have all rod cells, no cone cells, and so their eyes are basically structured to pick up motion a whole lot more than to see specific things. So here is a sloth skeleton. So see its ribs come all the way down. Check out the chompers on an adult sloth. Massive teeth. And the claws, huge. That's the bones that are inside of the claws, and then they'd have claws over those. But that's a skeleton of one. That is how big an adult sloth's claws are. So, I mean, if you came up with that skeleton, you would not be thinking slow, peaceful animal that lives in the trees and hides from everything. They grow slowly, so he is 6 months, he weighs about 3 pounds. The one in here is 14 months. She is nearly her full adult mass. She's about 12 pounds empty and about 15 pounds full. And, but, so her claws are still only about this long and her teeth are only about that small. He has none of his adult hair yet. This one, her adult hairs are 1.5 inches long maybe. His adult hairs are maybe 4 inches long. So her body mass is pretty close to a full adult, but her body maturity is nowhere close.
What's their lifespan in captivity?
So in the wild, no one can tell you because nobody has ever observed one birth to death of old age. In captivity, a sloth that is kidnapped from the rainforest, they say will average about 2 months. They'll die of stress or starvation. But a captive bred sloth who's properly cared for will live 50 years.
Wow.
So the Smithsonian had one that was 49. There's one in Germany who is 54. There's one in China who is reported to be much, much older than that, but it's China, so who knows. But both of the sloth breeders that I know well, each have a female that is over 35 years old and still reproducing. So still reproducing at 35 would indicate they could still live quite a while yet. I mean, if it's true of sloths, like most animals, that most large mammals don't reproduce in the last third to half of their life for females. So if that's true of sloths, which no one can say for sure yet, but if that's true, that would indicate they can still live quite a long time. And the guy who raises the ambassador animals, his initial 0 generation is animals that can't be returned to the rainforest because they're like missing limbs or hands or things like that. And he has a 0 generation sloth that came to him missing a limb 33 years ago that still seems entirely healthy, happy, and gonna live a long while yet.
You got a long way ahead of you, bud.
Yeah, but this one is, I don't remember, generation 11 or 12 from the rainforest.
Sure. If you said I missed it, how big do they typically get, like in weight?
A 2-fingered sloth can get to about 15 pounds, a 3-fingered about 12 pounds.
Okay.
The 3-fingered have longer legs than the 2-fingered, but the 2-fingered body mass is bigger.
So as he matures, will he still be as accepting of being held and
Yes.
just because of how he's raised?
This guy only raises about 3 sloths a year, and before I got the first sloth from him, the way I knew about him, and the only way you know about him is from other sloth people, but the way that I knew about him was from somebody that has a sloth up in Ohio that is 18 years old and still does school encounters every day, and just hangs around people's neck and loves people. And when these guys come here, they live in the house until they're a year old. They only come down for their encounter time and then go back to the house. And when the downside of being my wife is she's chained to the phone and the computer all day, every day, because she does the business side of things. The upside is she's almost always holding a sloth. One or the other of them are generally sitting with her all day, every day.
Sure, they heard of worse jobs.
Right.
So he can't understand you, but are sloths your favorite here?
No. My favorite animal here is Abu the camel because
Abu the
he
camel.
thinks he's my dog. And I just got rid of my emus because my zebra won't stop messing with the eggs, so we didn't hatch any this year, so what's the use? But when I would walk the field for the emu eggs, the emus would chase me and the camel would chase the emus. And how long ago did you post the video of Abu jumping all around like a...
That was probably about 4 months ago, but yeah, him prancing around.
He like goes to the emu like this and he like jumps in the air and he's like cute and sort of dorky and he's a lot of fun.
That's fun.
And I've had him a long time.
Say it again. Am I dead to turn the horses out? They're getting kind of frustrated.
I was like, that's all horses. Princesses.
How many total animals do you have on the farm?
So I used to always write 125 plus, but now I think we're at 150.
Wow.
And again, you know, there's like some species varieties, like chickens, we have 12, you know. But like we just got a porcupine, and then we got a white,
Saw him out there.
yeah, the white camel we just got, Prince Ali. I can't wait to make a video for that. There's gonna be some Aladdin connotation in there.
Was he born here? Or?
No.
Oh.
Mm-mm. We're about to have our first set of kangaroos born here. So they're pregnant and they're in the pouch and you can film them. And like I was trying to kind of like get them used to maybe getting the picture, you know, but you don't want to be like, hey, stay there while I shove my camera down your pouch, you know? So you're trying to like subtly work into it. The next big thing we might try to do is we're gonna try to actually build maybe a huge greenhouse.
Right there will be ready for you.
Oh, we'll tell you soon. Keep watching.
Sure.
All right, guys, we got our next encounter here.
See you, bud.
All right, Dash. Did you guys get a picture together with your phone?
No.
Oh well, let's get some pictures with your phone first.
No, it's okay. We'll be out in 1 second.
Oh, he's ready for it.
Do I need to close that window behind them, Kevin?
For the next one, yes.
For this picture right here, it looks like
Oh,
we should
yeah,
close
that's
the window.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's totally better.
Yep.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Dash, come here, baby boy.
We appreciate your